Democrats, the top pick for 2024, not doing too well in the polls. Even if he wins the popular vote, the most recent poll shows President Joe Biden losing the Electoral College handily to former President Donald Trump as Trump continues picking up steam in key battleground states. Americans are disillusioned with a crumbling economy and border as Democrats gear up to blame Republicans, and apparently the Supreme Court, we just learned that. And they're hoping for this government shutdown. They need some distraction to talk about the horrors of a government shutdown, which really there aren't any. The finger pointing isn't working anymore in the eyes of most Americans. That's what I figured out. Joining me live to discuss all of this, former Congressman and Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Colonel, good to see you as always.
My pleasure.
So here we are. I mean, I'm looking at Joe Biden, who apparently really doesn't like David Axelrod behind the scenes. By the way, one of the people said he should get out. He called him words that I can't use on this program. Look, times are tight for Democrats. When you throw everybody in now, with Jill Stein now joining the race, you've got Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Jill Stein, RFK Jr., and Cornel West. And you throw that all in. Plus, you got somebody coming from no labels at some point. Yep. I mean, Donald Trump could win this thing with 35% of the vote, and that would be the election, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's very possible because some of the recent polls showing that RFK Jr. is polling about 20 to 22%. So now all of a sudden you get a Cornel West. If he picks up another 3 to 4%, you get a Jill Stein. She gets maybe another 2%. That really does put a kibosh on what Joe Biden is able to do because he doesn't really have that solid of a base that is out there. And I was listening to Representative Clyburn. Here's a guy, he's completely out of touch. Because even in the black community, when they see that the left does not support school choice and educational freedom, the left is on the wrong side of safety and security in our urban population centers, that's why people are turning away from them. And of course, they can't go out there and afford the gasoline. They can't go out there and afford the food, commodity prices, and how we've seen them grow. So inflation, it is hitting them as well. So the Democrats, and then on top of that, the open border, and you see a lot of people in the inner city black communities, they don't want these illegal immigrants setting up anywhere near their communities.
No, we've seen that in Chicago quite clearly in recent days. Residents of Chicago saying, what are you doing? You're taking over our playground. You know, You've got this. Oh, and by the way, a bunch of illegals show up in Brooklyn to a new tent city that's been set up. And they say, we don't want to be here. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't get the hotel that you wanted when you came across our border illegally. But I want to go back to these numbers for just a moment. If you take RFK, Jill Stein, Cornel West, combined right now, there's somewhere between 20 and 25% of the American electorate going that way. And if no labels comes along, picks up another 5 points, you could have 1 in 3 voters voting for a different party altogether. And I can tell you what's not going to happen. Those MAGA Republicans that Mr. Clyburn likes to insult, and so do so many other Democrats, they're not leaving Donald Trump. They're staying with their man. And that's why he's going to win on November 5th, 2024.